What is going on, guys? Eagle Aquatics back here, and in today's video I'm going to be making a remake of a very popular video on my page. That was one of my most popular videos on my page. It got taken down because of copyright claims because I used the wrong pictures, but I'm planning on redoing it, and that's what you're seeing today. The video I'm making today is a top 10 freshwater aquarium fish for beginners. That's right. Any of these fish on this list, I personally think are perfect for the beginner freshwater aquarist. Super easy, peaceful, just bulletproof fish, bulletproof freshwater fish. Just great fish to have. They're not very expensive and they're just awesome, you know. So I'm gonna go, I got 10 fish here, gonna go from 10 to 1, rated what I think are the best, being number 1 from the 10. They're all really easy. Any of these guys would be great to have. I've been keeping freshwater fish for probably 8 years now. I've gone through so many different ones. Every fish on this list I've kept at one point or another. I feel they're great fish to have. I got, not all of them you'll see in this tank, but I'll definitely point them out if they're in here so you guys can take a look at them. So the tank I have, the only freshwater tank I have running right now is a 125 gallon semi-aggressive freshwater tank with a sump. There's just a ton of fish in here, so look out for any fish in here that are on the list, because then you'll know what they look like in real life. So starting with number 10, I'm gonna go with bettas. Bettas are probably one of the most popular like home fish to keep in a house. If you just want one fish, just want like a centerpiece, don't want to buy a huge tank, or don't like want to have filtration or anything like this, these bettas, they can live anywhere from like a little 1 gallon, 3 gallon glass bowl, all the way. They could live with these fish too, and they could be fine. The only thing, a common misconception with bettas, is that they can't live with other fish because they'll beat up the other fish. That's totally not true. You could keep them with, I've kept them with guppies, I've kept them with mollies, small, real small fish like that, and I've never had problems with them. They're only aggressive if you put 2 males together. That's the only time they're gonna be aggressive and kill each other. You can't mix bettas, but you can put bettas in with other fish. That is a fact, and I've done that multiple times. I'm currently doing, my brother has a betta tank up in the room, and he's got some other fish. He gets along fine. So it's a really cool centerpiece to have in like even a tank like this. You can put them in with other fish, it's not gonna hurt anything. But the betta is probably one of the most bulletproof fish in the tank. If you go to the fish stores, you'll see them in little cups all over the place. They could live in those for a short amount of time, but for a forever home, I would go with at least 1 to 3 gallons. Honestly, a little bowl. You don't have to have any sort of filtration. Just change out the water every now and then. It's a super easy fish to take care of. But that's number 10, bettas. Number 9, not all as common as the rest of these fish on this list, but I love these guys. Botia or Dojo Loaches. Either one of the two. Loaches are so cool. You could see one swimming around down here. By far one of the best bottom feeders you could buy for a freshwater tank. I think I got like 5 of them in here. There's a whole school of them, and these guys are actually really big for their species. But Botia Loaches are so awesome. They're always scouring every little inch and crevice inside of this tank. They're ultimate bottom feeders. They get about, that's probably a max size one right there. He's probably about 4 inches long. That's about how big they get. They got really cool patterns, like almost like a tiger or cheetah pattern on them. Really cool fish. They're not, I wouldn't say for a freshwater fish, they're not the cheapest. I think they're around 10 bucks each, but that's not very expensive. There's another one right there. I got a whole school of them. They have bred, they've mated in this tank a couple of times, but I don't have the setup to actually hatch the eggs or anything. They get eaten. But these guys are so cool. One of the best, very best bottom feeders you could have in a freshwater tank. They don't need a very big tank. These guys, as you can see, they don't get very big. I would say a max tank or a minimum tank size of probably 20 gallons, honestly, 15, 20 gallons. They'll be totally fine in there. You can get a nice school of them. They get along with other fish, and they get along with other loaches also. And then the Dojo Loaches are those long, like snake-looking guys. They're either, you could get albino ones or the brown ones. They're really cool. They look like miniature eels. They don't get very big. I think they get like maybe 5 inches long, I've kept albinos and I've kept the little snake-looking brown ones. They're really cool. They pretty much do the same thing as these guys. They're just really interesting to look at. They look like little snakes. They're pretty cool. They're really cool. So that was number 9, Botia and Dojo Loaches. Number 8, I'm gonna go with Pictus Catfish. I have one. Pictus Catfish are probably my favorite catfish, small catfish for a freshwater tank. There's one right there. If you can see them in the corner by that plant. The colors on them are just insane. They're like a chrome with black spots all over the place. They have really long whiskers and big eyes. They're super cool. They're really active. They're more active than Raphael catfish and other stuff like that. These guys are always swimming around everywhere. He'll find a spot like mine and just stay there for a while, but once you put food in the tank, these guys go nuts. They're really cool. They're not very expensive. They get about that size. That guy, I've had him for like 5 years, and he hasn't grown any bigger than that. They don't require a very big tank. I would say, honestly, this guy was housed in a 20-gallon for a long time, but honestly, if you want to house him forever, I would say a 40-gallon or larger. That's just my personal opinion. That'd be plenty enough to house this guy for long periods of time. You can keep them in schools too. They get along with each other and they get along with other fish also. So that was Pictus Catfish at number 8. Number 7 is going to go with Synodontis Eupterus catfish or Synodontis Multipunctatus catfish. I have one in here. I used to have a gigantic Eupterus. They're brown. They're really cool. They call them squeaker catfish. They grow like really tall and wide. They're really cool looking. I'll post a picture up on the corner, but they're super cool. I had that guy for years. He died last year. Had that dude forever. A bigger species of catfish, they'll probably max out around 8 inches. But very, very cool, interesting looking catfish. Their fins, they grow tall, so they have like really feathery fins. They're always scouring the bottom for food. The Multipunctatus, it's also chrome like the Pictus catfish, or a silver with black spots. That guy's a little more expensive, but they're super cool. A lot of times these catfish, they hide a lot, but once you put food in the tank, they'll always come out and eat. So those guys are awesome. Awesome. I love catfish, freshwater tanks. For the Synodontis catfish, I would recommend 50 gallons or more. Honestly, I housed that Eupterus in a 60-gallon for the longest time, and he did just fine in there, but they do grow pretty quick if you feed them a lot, and I would say 50 gallons minimum for those guys, for sure. Number 6, I'm gonna go give that to angelfish. Angelfish are awesome, just a staple in the hobby. I got there's a gold or a yellow, more yellow one in there, and then I have the 2 oldest fish I currently have, which is the marble angelfish up in that corner, and then there's a striped angelfish. I don't know if they'll come down here, but those guys are so cool. Angelfish, who doesn't like angelfish, honestly? They're not very aggressive. They're more known as more semi-aggressive fish. They're not, I've never seen aggression out of mine, but some people claim they can beat up other fish, but I highly doubt that. They're some of the cheapest fish you could buy. You can get them in a million different patterns. There's platinum angels, there's the marbled, the yellow, there's a blue angelfish, so many different ones, and the look of them are just insane. You can get some with long fins, short fins, just an insane fish. They're super cheap, really, really cheap. They grow really fast, and they don't get too big. Like these guys over here, if I lift up the camera, they're right there. You can see the striped angel and then the marbled angel right there. 2 awesome fish. Honestly, I'm pretty sure they're a pair by now. I wouldn't doubt it, because they hang out with each other a lot. I've never seen any breeding activity though. But those guys are awesome. Minimum tank size, I'm gonna give minimum tank size on all these fish, in my opinion. 30 gallons, easily. I kept those 2 in a 30-gallon for a long time. They did just fine. 30 gallons, even 20 gallons for a baby one, but as they get older, you wanna amp up the little tank size as they grow. But great fish to have, great fish to keep. It's about as easy as they come, that's for sure. Number 5, rainbow fish. I'm talking really any species of rainbow fish. are so easy to take care of. I had a bunch of them in the past. I don't think there's any more in here though. I had a turquoise angel, I had a Bosmani, Australian. At one time we had a Madagascar angelfish, awesome fish. But the color ranges are they're so wide with that species. The Bosmanis are half yellow, half like blue. The turquoise are all blue. There's a red rainbow fish, which is red. If you get the females, they're gold. Awesome fish, super cool. Rainbow fish are some of the easiest. They're super active, like they're always swimming around everywhere, eating all the food. They're bulletproof fish, that's for sure. They could be pretty cheap. If you go with the red rainbows, they might be a little more expensive, but it's totally worth it. These fish, if your tank's set up and you got other fish living in there, these fish are gonna survive. That's for sure. Really easy. Number 4, Cory catfish, another catfish. The Cory catfish are the smallest species of catfish in the freshwater aquarium hobby, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I have kept so many different types, honestly. I've kept the emerald, the albino Cory cats, the peppered Corys, panda Corys. There's so many different types. They're really small little guys. They're like I don't know, they don't get very big. They're small. They're very, very active fish, extremely active fish. Like unlike other catfish that hide a lot, like the Raphaels, sometimes the Pictus catfish hides, these Cory catfish are always out, always moving around, kind of like those loaches, those Botia loaches. They're about just as good as those. They don't move as fast, but they're always moving around, digging all through the sand bed and everything. Just a really good bottom feeder to have, and really easy. They're very, very cheap. You can get like the albino ones for like $1 on sale at like PetSmart and stuff like that. Very, very easy fish. Minimum tank size, probably 10 gallons on those guys. Really any of them. There's a few bigger species, but the majority of the ones you're gonna see are very small and they don't get very big. Just a cool fish. You could get a big school of them, have them schooling around. That'd be awesome. Big school of those guys. They eat anything, pellets, flakes, all that stuff. Really cheap. You can mix different species too. I've done that. Really cool, really cool. If you're looking for some bottom feeder action without them hiding, Cory catfish are the way to go, that's for sure. Number 3, Livebearers, being Mollies, Platies, Guppies. I don't know if they consider killifish in Livebearers, but Mollies and Platies and Guppies, really easy fish, some of the cheapest you could buy. And if you're looking to start off breeding, that's the fish to start with, that's for sure. You could breed those guys. If you put 5 of them in a tank, there's gonna be breeding activity, that is for sure. My brother used to keep a bunch of guppies in a little tiny tank, like a 5-gallon, and we used to hatch their babies all the time. We get so many baby guppies. It's really, really cool. If you want to breed some fish, definitely start with guppies or platies. It's super easy. They're relatively hardy fish. I wouldn't say they're the most hardy on this list. I haven't had too much success with them because there's a lot of problems associated with those fish. But they're hardy, they're cheap. There's a million different colors, and you can create a really cool tank with them. Especially the guppies. I would say guppies are guppies are easier than mollies and platies in my personal experience. I find them easier to take care of, and they last longer. I believe that's just from personal experience. Some people disagree with that, but guppies are my favorite. They're really cool. They stay so tiny. They only get like 2 inches long. Same with the mollies and stuff like that, but just really easy, really cheap fish. You can keep in a little 5-gallon tank. They won't be bothered at all. They breed like crazy if you want to breed them, because the reason they call them Livebearers, they give birth to live young. So when they give birth, there's little babies swimming everywhere. It's really cool. But Livebearers definitely number 3. Number 2 has to go to giant Danios or zebra Danios. Giant Danios are one of my favorite fish to keep. I got a bunch of them. If you see them scouring around up here, there's one right there. One of my oldest fish, he's like 6 years old. Got one here. There's a school like 5 in here. Super cool fish to have. I've had those guys for years in here. They're just bulletproof. Probably one of the hardiest fish you could possibly buy in the freshwater tank. Besides number 1, these guys are probably number 2. in my personal opinion. That being giant Danios. Not really the zebras, but the giants. You really can't kill these fish, that's for sure. But you get a huge school going like up here. It just looks awesome. They got really cool patterns. They're so cheap, these things, and there's such a cool effect. You get like 10 of them in here. I might add some more eventually. They're just so cool. They look like little minnows swimming around. They don't bother anybody. They school, they eat like crazy. Super peaceful fish. They don't need to, these guys get a little bit bigger. That's why they're called giant Danios. I would say a minimum of 20 gallons, maybe for 2 or 3, but amp it up. If you want a bigger school, go with like a 40 or 50 gallon. If you get a giant tank like this, I'd throw 20 of them in there. That'd be so cool. I just love those fish. Same with zebras. They're really tiny little guys, like the size of guppies or zebra Danios. Some have long fins, some have different ones. They're really cool. They got cool patterns if you look up close. You could keep those guys in like 5 gallons of water. They do just fine. They're so small, but really cool fish to keep. All Danios I love. I like Danios. They're probably my second most favorite freshwater fish. I've kept them from the beginning, and I'll always have them. That's for sure. They're just awesome. Going on to number 1. You can't argue this fish. Number 1 has to be tetras. It has to be. Tetras are hands down the hardiest and easiest fish to take care of, in my experience. I've kept so many different ones, it's not even funny. The hardiest tetra I've ever kept are the black skirt tetras. Completely bulletproof. Those guys are just awesome. I got a red minor or red phantom tetra right there. I got a few Congo tetras. Those guys will get a little bit bigger. They have teeth too. They're a little more aggressive. I wouldn't recommend those guys for the beginner, but any of the like red minor tetras, skirt tetras, even the Congos. If you got a bigger tank, a 50 gallon plus for the Congos, they're really cool. That's what I got. Those are my favorite tetra or Congo tetras. That's why I got 2 of them. And then a female over here. It's a female. But those guys are awesome. 50 gallons minimum on those guys. They get big, but they're super cool. And any of the smaller species of tetras, even neon tetras, stuff like that, just super easy. Some of the cheapest fish you could possibly buy, aside from like goldfish and stuff like that. Tetras are just some of the best. I can't even name off all the species in my head. I'd forget half of them. That's the other Sino catfish right there. If you see him, he looks like a shark kind of. That's that other one I was talking about. There he is. But the tetras, so easy, such an easy fish. You could keep the smallest species in anywhere from 5 gallons. Some of them get huge. Some tetras get huge. But I'm talking about the small ones, the skirt tetras, red minors, bleeding heart tetras, stuff like that. Super easy. You could put a massive school inside of a tank and they do just fine. They love to school. Put a bunch of them in a tank and they'll do awesome. So tetras, hands down, the number 1 freshwater fish in my opinion. The best for a beginner, that's for sure. But great fish. So all the fish on this list, I would totally recommend. I've kept all of them, had great experiences with all of them. Great beginner fish. No regrets on buying any of those fish. You'll love them if you get them. So hopefully you beginners out there find a little bit of info on all these fish, and hopefully you got some ideas on what to stock your new tanks with. Definitely go out and find some of these guys. They're great. And hopefully you guys all have success if you're setting up a freshwater tank. Really easy. And once you get the hang of it, it's great. You could start getting into different ones like Acaras and silver dollars, stuff like that. But these beginner fish, so cool. Go out and buy some. So thank you guys all for watching this Eagle Aquatics. Check out my Instagram at Eagle Aquatics. No spaces, no anything, just Eagle Aquatics. I'm always posting on there. And subscribe, like, comment, leave suggestions for future videos, and I will see you guys next time.